Hey everybody, Al Iverson here. It's time for another one of your email authentication and deliverability questions answered. This time around, we're going to talk about what is MAGY? Why do MAGY sender requirements matter? Let's get into it. MAGY is this: Microsoft, Apple, Google, and Yahoo. Now, specifically, we're talking about the consumer mailbox providers for all of these. For Microsoft, that means Outlook.com or Hotmail. Apple, that's obviously iCloud. Google's got Gmail, and of course, Yahoo is Yahoo Mail. Now, the reason these are important is that because for a B2C sender, if you're a direct to consumer sender, if you're advertising to consumers directly, that Maggie, these four mailbox providers make up more than 90% of a typical subscriber list. So complying with their requirements is super important and got even more important recently with the new sender requirements announced by Microsoft. Talked about those in a video last week. I'll link it below. Announced on April 2nd, but the compliance deadline for Microsoft is coming really quick, May 5th. So Microsoft is very serious about getting people to implement best practices, and they're going to start moving mail to the spam folder if it doesn't comply with these practices starting on May 5th. So, what are the practices? And here is a little bit of an eye chart. Hey, if you want to email me, I will be happy to share a copy of this with you. I mapped out here the different requirements across the mailbox providers. But this is so you can see, while there are some differences, overall, they're pretty significantly similar. They all require SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. So, email authentication is key. You have to implement email authentication to be able to comply with these new requirements. And that includes alignment in at least two of these cases, too. Microsoft and Google explicitly call out alignment. The other ones might not mention it specifically, but I think it's safe to say that it's assumed. Volume thresholds, 5,000 messages a day for a couple of those. A couple of the other ones don't specify. And keep in mind, there's other requirements too to have a valid sending address, send only to recipients who explicitly subscribed. Um, don't send unwanted or unsolicited emails. So a lot of these are really the same thing said different ways. Just make sure you're sending mail that's authenticated. Make sure you're sending it to people who have asked to receive that mail. Make sure you're not buying or using third party list data. Make sure you're handling bounces, suppressing invalid addresses, allowing people to unsubscribe, and monitoring your reputation. Now, the enforcement timeline, as I mentioned with Microsoft, is very important, right? With Yahoo and Google, they announced these requirements back in October 2023, and it was a little bit of a slow ramp toward any sort of enforcement. It's a different story here with Microsoft, where it's coming very fast. They're saying starting May 5th, they are going to move non-compliant email messages to the spam folder with stricter enforcement to follow in the future. So, a long story short, what does this mean? This means that the Yahoo and Google requirements that folks have been talking about over the past year now apply just about across the board. Applies at Microsoft and Apple and a whole bunch of mailbox providers elsewhere as well. Want to learn more about these requirements? Here's a whole bunch of links. I'll put the links above or below the video, depending on where you're watching this. And so please do click through there and learn more. I've got links to the requirements from Microsoft, Apple, Google, and Yahoo. And that is it for today. I hope you found this interesting. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, if you've got any questions about the new Microsoft requirements or Maggie requirements or anything else that might be interesting for me to answer in a follow-up video, please drop me an email, al.iverson@valamail.com. Thanks. Catch you in the next one.